We are at the mural of James Banza, affectionately known as Magebhula. The reason is known as Magebhula. In the 1900s, when still a resident of Durban, realizing that a number of people have become homeless and they've moved to urban areas of Durban, but they're homeless and destitute. He was working for a legal firm. So he organized the destitute to take land just outside of Durban in a place known as Kumba. That's how he got the name Magebhula, because he grabbed the municipal land at that time of Durban and he gave home to the homeless of Durban. When he was also working for this legal team, a number of people were dispossessed of their land. He represented them in court. He also advised them legally how to approach the injustice laws of that time. He grew impatient with one of the merchant Indians who was abusing African women and children. He ended up in a commotion or in a fight with an Indian merchant. He killed this particular Indian merchant. He was arrested and sentenced to death. He was moved from Durban to Pretoria, where he was waiting for his death. During that period, he converted to Christianity. He preached to other people. He converted to Christianity. He also wrote a book which was titled Christian Pathways. We can also see the title of the book. He authored a book titled Christian Pathways in prison in 1922. He convinced. He also wrote a letter to the King of England. At that time, South Africa was still under Britain. He asked for clemency from the king, although his several letters were ignored. But in 1927, he was duly released. After his release, he went to KZN. He went to his family, especially his mother and his sister. He apologized to his mother and sister that he gave the Mpanza name a bad name. So it was important for him to get some cleansing so that he can start afresh. He needed that forgiveness. He came back, he settled in Pretoria, where he met his first wife. At that time, his wife was known as a colored, but he later learned that she was not actually a colored, but a person who was also a teacher at the school. They were blessed with 5 children. In later years, he moved to Johannesburg, Bertrams. When he settled in Bertrams in the 1930s, the white authorities introduced a new law, which was under the pretext that slum clearance. So black people or Africans were regarded as people who were not needed in the city of Johannesburg. So in 1932, he was forced to move to Orlando. He came to Orlando and he formed Orlando Boys Club. In 1935, he formed Sofa Sonke movement. In 1935, Sofa Sonke movement objective was housing and shelter for all. A number of people have moved to Orlando, but Orlando was full at that time, so they couldn't find a place of accommodation. So James Mpanza felt that it was important to organize the homeless and the destitute for future, so that they can get accommodation. He wrote a petition, several petitions, to the National Assembly, but he was ignored. He also wrote several letters to different newspapers in Johannesburg, citing the plight of the homeless and the destitute living in Orlando, which was nothing but a dumping site. It was a dumping site of the African people because white people felt that Orlando was nothing but a labor camp. A labor camp in the sense that it was regarded, Orlando was regarded as a labor camp, a temporary accommodation for African people. But as people were sitting in, settled here in Orlando, they felt this was their home. And being their home, it was also important to improve their living conditions. Their living conditions were not up to scratch. It was important for them that particular living conditions to be improved. But African people were just ignored by white authorities. Then in 1943, Orlando Residents Association, which had members like Nelson Mandela, Anthony Zwakele-Mbede, who were active in politics and civic politics, attended this particular meeting. James Mpanza had a caucus meeting with Nelson Mandela and Walter Sisulu, including Mr. Mbede. They took a plan that when they get into a meeting, a motion would be moved by Nelson Mandela and seconded by Walter Sisulu. They went to a meeting. In the meeting, a motion was moved that subtenants in Orlando will be moved out on the 27th of January 1944 to a vacant land across Orlando Railway. But on this particular day, Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, and Anthony Mbede did not reach out. This made Magebhula feel that betrayed in a way, but he pursued because this was his dream that they could not have the homeless and the destitute living in these unhealthy and unbecoming conditions. Then on the 20th of March 1944, James Mpanza left his oath. He led the homeless and the destitute, riding his horse, this famous horse Malmate, which has won several races in the 1940s. He led women, mostly with children on their backs, to the vacant land across Orlando Railway line. This is where James Mpanza settled the homeless and the destitute. That is why today is known as Magebhula, the one who forcefully grabbed the Johannesburg municipal land and he gave land to the homeless. So they said the number increased of the population. To some extent, Father Trevor Alderstein, in his book, he says he saw several people coming in numbers, and the numbers grew and grew. He only realized later that these were homeless women carrying children, boxes or materials to lay the Sawtooth Foundation. Sawtooth Foundation was laid on the 20th of March 1944. That's the genesis of Soweto. As City of Johannesburg was already building houses in Orlando West, in 1947, James Mpanza encouraged the homeless and the destitute to occupy the vacant and empty houses in Orlando West. Instead, the elites in Orlando, including Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, and many others, left Orlando small houses, and they went to occupy bigger and better houses in Orlando West. That's how Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, and many today prominent people left Orlando to occupy bigger and better houses, which were pantries, which were 5-room houses and bigger yards. That's how Orlando West houses were occupied with the encouragement of Magebhula, James Sofasoke Mpanza, also affectionately known as the father of Soweto.